So this is my top shelf. I have poetry and short stories on this shelf. Over here, this is my more adult content, I guess. And then this stuff is all of my children's content. So I'm really excited to get to like everything in here. This is the whole box set. Let's see if I can do this without letting it all fall. These three. Yeah, so there's a ton in here that I'm really excited about. I don't know if I should be pulling every book out. Do you guys want that? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the ones that I think are, that I want to say something about. So this Smoke from This Altar is Louis L'Amour, who writes Westerns, I believe. And I didn't know he wrote poetry, so I've got that one. This one is Apples of Gold, and I really liked this cover. So I'm really curious to get into this one. Let's see, what else have we got here? Just this one I see a lot at thrift stores, so I don't think it's too unique or, I don't know, all that special. I am trying to learn Italian, so I have got this. I haven't read this one yet, but I am curious about how it is formatted and how it'll help teach me Italian. This one I got recently. I'm looking forward to reading more of Robert Frost's poems. What I have read of his I really like. Shel Silverstein, or Silverstein, is fairly iconic, I would say, and I really love his style of poetry. Now here I do have a mix of fairy tales and short stories as well as poetry, so I'm really excited about getting into all of these. I specifically want to do a video on different parts, or I guess just different collections. Like I have an Irish fairy and folk tales, and then there's another Irish one. This one is Australian. This one's Norwegian. So I think it'd be really fun to like kind of do a video going through different countries' short stories and fairy tales. And then I have, of course, this one's Grimm's fairy tales. This one's Hans Christian Andersen. And then there's Lewis Carroll. And then there's some of these bigger ones. I didn't realize, but I actually have two of the same collection. This is A Child's Garden of Verses, but this one's illustrated by Thomas Kincaid, and this one is illustrated by Jessie Wilcox Smith. So it's the same poetry from Robert Louis Stevenson, but just a different illustrator. And then there's just some other random ones in here that I'm really excited about. So that's what. Oh yeah, look at the illustration in this one. Like, isn't that just beautiful? Oh, I can't get over this kind of illustration. But anyway, that is what I have on the top shelf. Let's move down. All right, for this one, I have combined my Christian nonfiction with classics, just to make use of the shelf. This one I heard from Kendra's channel. I can leave her channel link down below. Choosing God in Frustrations of Life. I haven't heard of these authors, but I'm hoping that that's a good book. This one, the cover really got me, or the title I should say, 12 Lies Wives Tell Their Husbands, and I'm really curious about like where this book is going to go and what the lies are that this author is writing about. And then I always want to read more about prayer, so I've got some prayer books. This one is on my 22 books to read in 2022. Yeah, just hoping to try and start making healthier choices, lose a little bit of weight. This one I heard good things about here on BookTube. You Are the Girl for the Job. Yeah, not sure, but heard good things. This one I got because my husband and I were at an infertility conference, and Lauren Casper was there, and she was selling this book, but by the time I got to the back to pick up a copy, she was sold out. So then I ended up finding this book like months later when I was back at home, and I found it at a bookstore for, it was actually on sale. So that was neat. This one, Oshina has talked about and loved, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I love Francis Chan, so I'm looking forward to reading more of his books. This one got me by the phrase on the back cover. It says, think of the little girls you know, your daughter, a niece, a friend's child, and then think about this. Little girls are tossed away every day. And it talks about numerous different tragedies in the world, like starvation, displacement, illiteracy, sexual exploitation, and abuse. And I believe that these are like own voices stories. So I think that one will be really hard to read, but it will be good. This one delves deeper into the 10 commandments, each commandment individually, and I'm looking forward to that. I've actually never read a Charles Swindoll before, so this would be my first time, and I'm looking forward to that as well. And then of course Redwoods and Whales by Phil Joel is also on my 22 books to read in 2022. Here I've got another prayer book, The Four Loves, a C.S. Lewis book, God's Smuggler by Brother Andrew. This one I know Celestria really likes, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. And then over here on my classics, I've got The Three Musketeers. I really love the British TV show, Three Musketeers. The Man in the Iron Mask, Lord of the Flies. This one I believe it is a survival story with teenagers, so curious about that. Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. I still haven't read one from him yet, and I'm excited to do that. War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This is going to be quite the feat when I get to it, because it is huge, but I am, let's say it together, excited for it. And then I have Pilgrim's Progress, which is a Christian classic, and I definitely need to get to that one soon. I really liked Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and this is The Illustrated Man, so I'm curious about that one. And then this one, I just love this cover so terribly much, so I want to read it based on that alone. Alec Forbes of Howglen. I'm not sure if this is the same George MacDonald that wrote The Princess and the Goblin, but if it is, I'm extra here for this because I love that story. Alright, shelf number 3. Wonder Woman. I have these Robin Hobb books up here because this is the next trilogy that I need to read. However, I am still waiting to get my hands on The Golden Fool so I can continue reading from The Elderling. And then this one I saw when Stephanie had a booktube channel, and so I'm curious about this one. I got this one at the dollar store because it was hounding me every time I went there. The cover was intriguing, so I'm curious about that. I have some other ones in this series by Penelope J. Stokes, so I'm really curious about what this book or what this series is all about. This one also was a dollar store buy because of the cover. It's an amazing cover. Dream Shredders, Sweetly, Merlin's Blade. Those are just some other ones that I'm curious about. I believe Dream Shredder is Christian. I think Merlin's Blade is Christian as well, but I don't think Jackson Pierce writes Christian books. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think so. I need to start The Eye of the World. I don't know when I'm going to start it, but we'll see. When I do start it, I want to make sure that I have space to like binge the whole series. The Clan of the Cave Bear was recommended to me by a stranger in the thrift store. I want to read more of Terry Pratchett's Discworld, so I've got this one representing that. The Unicorns and the Unicorn Dilemma, basically cover buys because they are really 80s covers and I love it so much. So I want to try those guys out. And then down here is another cover by from the 80s, The Sleeping Dragon. So let me know if you have read any of these and can give me some advice on if they're good or not. Then over here I have a couple Isaac Asimov. I haven't liked what I've read of his so far, but I'm hoping to change that at some point. Then I've got The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So he's the author of Sherlock Holmes, but he apparently wrote a dinosaur story, so I definitely want to read this. The Last Christian is science fiction about just that, being the only Christian left on the earth. That sounds intriguing. I need to try some Alton Gansky before. He is a Christian author and writes science fiction. This blue screen was also a dollar store cover by. It has to do with technology, but most science fiction does. The Sparrow, which is a classic. I want to try that one. Terminal Logic. Revolutionary. Oh, right. I do have the second Revolutionary. Oh, this is the third one. I think Oshina is going to send me the second one, so I'm really excited about that. Hacker by Ted Dekker. I did read one other book from the Outlaw Chronicles. I don't know if you have to read them in order or not, but I'm looking forward to continuing with that series. And then Dream Thief by Stephen Lawhead. I've really enjoyed the Stephen Lawhead I have read so far, for the most part. So, and this one has to do with dreams as well, so I'm curious about it. And then on the side here, The Flight Network by J.S. Thomas. This is a Canadian author, so it was really neat to have found it. Plus, he wrote it regarding humanity has adapted to living with COVID-37. So COVID-19 has morphed that many times. And in this science fiction world, we're at COVID-37. So I'm really curious about this one. And then H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man. This is my middle shelf, and it is actually my currently reading pile. So I really love these two pieces that I have on either side of my pile here, and I think this is a perfect spot for my currently reading. It's like really good at eye level, and I can see it very easily. So any of them, like these ones that I'm forgetting about, and these two actually, I can remind myself, hey, I need to keep reading that. So let's move on to the one below. This is mostly my historical. I believe they are all Christian fiction. Yeah, I've collected these at different points, but some of them, like this one, appeals to me because of the age and the cover. And this one appeals to me because we're on the ocean with a ship, and it just gives me pirate vibes, and I'm curious about it for that reason. And then these two, actually, these three are Melanie Dickerson books. So, I mean, I'm always excited to read another Melanie Dickerson, and these are the three that I currently own that I do not, or I have not read. So, and I have not been reading the Hoggenheim series in order either. So this one, I mean, this cover, look at this cover, it's so cool. And then of course we've got the ocean and a ship again, so here for that. There's this one by Gilbert Morris. I mean, it's about a mermaid. I need more mermaid stories, so if you have any to recommend, let me know in the comments below. This one, again, we're on the ocean, on a ship. Her dress is from the era that I love to read from, so, you know, I'm excited for that. This one, Jamestown by Angela Elwell Hunt. First of all, whoever illustrated this cover is so talented. She's gorgeous. But also this story, I believe, is sort of a Pocahontas retelling. It's an interpretation of it anyways. Marie by Linda Windsor. This one I remember, somehow I remember this cover from when I was a teenager, so I'm kind of curious about trying it again to see what I think of it now. Then we've got another Gilbert Morris, just because I'm super into these really dated covers. And it's a Danielle Ross mystery, and it just gives me like Murder, She Wrote vibes. I don't know if that's accurate at all, but yeah, I want to try it. Then we have The Pattern Artist, and I really love the idea of making clothing and designing clothing. I love that, so I'm really excited to see where that story goes. Oh, this one I don't think is a Christian fiction. And I'm also not sure if it is middle grade or not. You guys should let me know. Shark Island by Joan Druitt. This one, of course, has shark in the title, island in the title, with the ocean and a ship on the cover. I mean, you can't get a more perfect recipe for me to pick it up. The Spice King. This one I really am excited to get to. Hopefully soon. I hear so much good things about this book, and I really want to get to it. Then we've got A Bound Heart by Laura Franz. I've never read anything by her. Actually, a lot of these authors are brand new to me. So yeah, this cover just looks so Scottish or Irish or something, and I'm loving it. We've got Katira by Lisa T. Berggren, and it's the cover. I don't know. It's so stunning. The colors are soft yet bright, and she's at the ocean on an island. Look at her dress and her hair, and I just love it all. So this one, Grave Consequences by Lisa T. Berggren. This is actually the second book in a series that I started a few months ago, and I enjoyed the first one, so we're going to continue that one. This is a graphic novel that I found at the thrift store. I basically bought it because it looks cool, and yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it. Hopefully it isn't too questionable with content. I have no idea what to expect, but looking forward to trying it. And then I have two graphic novels over here. I've got Manga Messiah. I'm curious to see how accurate this one is to the actual gospel. And then Quiet Girl in a Noisy World, an introvert story. Kind of looking forward to getting to that one as well. So I just have a couple graphic novels here off to the side. And that is this shelf. This is more contemporary or mystery, that kind of genre, I guess. This stack here is my non-Christian stack, I think. I think the rest of these are Christian, if I'm correct on that. So, The Black Coats by Colleen Oakes. I really loved her Alice in Wonderland retelling trilogy, so I'm hoping to like this one. This one I just picked up, Death Comes to Pemberley. I picked it up and I put it on my shelf here because of Jane Austen July. I don't really plan to participate in Jane Austen July, but I think I will read this one since it is inspired by Pride and Prejudice. Then I've got The Dream Peddler by Martine Fournier Watson. This one I don't really know much about either. It was kind of a cover buy as well. Then we've got Alice by Christina Henry. Let me put these back. I have a feeling Christina Henry is going to be too graphic for me, but it is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and I have no idea what to expect other than for it to be really twisted. So I am very curious. And then I just have more 5-minute mysteries. I haven't tried this yet. I'm kind of wondering if they're going to be like more campy, kind of cheesy a little bit, but we will see once I get to it. And then we've got my Christian selection of this sort of genre. So Fragments of Fear by Carrie Stewart Parks. This one, I actually purchased this one for my sister for her birthday one year, and then after that I also heard Chantel talk about it on her channel, so I decided it was time to try it myself. I finished book 1 of the Cape Refuge series a few months ago, so I need to continue that series. The Impact of a Single Event has been on my TBR list for a couple of years now, and I really, really want to read it, even though I keep putting it off. So you'd think, do you really want to read it? But I do. I really do. Annabelle Lee by Mike Napa. This one gives me super creepy vibes, so I'm really curious about it. Illusion by Frank Peretti. Actually, Melanie and I are going to be buddy reading this one. Really excited to see where this one goes. Stephen James. I read one of his science fiction books, was it last year, even the year before, and I really liked it. So I'm looking forward to starting this series. Living Lies by Natalie Walters. I actually know nothing about this. I've never read anything by this author. I have zero clue. So we will see. The Lost Girl of Astor Street. I think lost is a buzzword for me. So if lost is in the title, or if the premise or the plot has to do with either a person being lost or something being lost, I'm pretty curious about it. So yeah, curious about that for sure. Vendetta by Lisa Harris. I still haven't tried a Lisa Harris before, so I would really love to. Fatherless by Dr. James Dobson. I didn't realize that he had ever written fiction until I saw this book, so I'm curious about that. The Man He Never Was by James L. Rubart. This one, the premise, what if you woke up one morning and the darkest parts of yourself were gone? Like, I'm confused and I'm curious. Rooms by James L. Rubart. Just based on like the style of books that he seems to write, I think he might be a good author for me. I'm hoping. We've got Dark Justice by Brandy Lynn Collins. I think I've only read 2 of her books before, but I liked them, so wouldn't mind trying another one of hers. Another Stephen James from a different series, so maybe I'll put that beside that one. Fatal Illusions by Adam Blummer. Someone is watching. I mean, like this, I just love eerie premises and like spooky and freaky. This one also has to do with Houdini. This one is also a magic duo, something about magic shows and stuff. This one's about Houdini. This one, I remember when this one first came out and I was really like not interested in this genre at the time. But recently I heard Stacy talk about it on her channel and very curious now. Rachel Decker, The Choosing. I read 9 by her and I didn't care for it. So we'll see where this one goes. Colleen Coble is a hit or miss author for me, but this one has those spooky vibes that I'm hoping are there. So looking forward to that. And then another recent purchase was The Beautiful Ashes of Gomez. I hauled this one on a complete whim. I liked the premise on the back, and recently I heard Bethany talk about it on her channel. So yeah, really curious about that. The next and final shelf is middle grade. So a lot of these I don't know much about, so I'm going to skip over a few. Wildwood I don't know much about, but I like the cover. I've finished reading book 1 of Amulet, but I haven't started, or I haven't continued the series. Jacqueline Hyde will be a good spooky middle grade, I hope. The Dollmaker of Krakow. I think I've heard both decent and iffy things about it. This cover is really pretty, but this makes me think that it's going to be during war, and I don't like that kind of setting. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is a classic I want to get to. Train to Impossible Places. This, The Not So Uniform Life of Holly May, was a gift from my husband for my birthday. Has my name in it. This one was gifted to me by Crossway. I really, really, really want to start this one soon. Copper Sun, The Search for Wanla. A Curious Case, or A Curious Tale of the In-Between sounds really intriguing to me. As does The Game. I love it when there's a game element to a plot. That's always interesting to me as well. The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Meadowstone. This one I heard about on J.D. Ray Reid's channel. Stitchhead. This is book 2 of the Stitchhead series, I guess. I have read book 1, and so I think I will read this one in October. Goddess of Yesterday, A Monster Calls, Sundered Lands, and Howl's Moving Castle. I don't know anything about, but because of the buzz, I've heard about it, or I've heard that people love it, and I really want to watch the movie, so I have that book. The Goose Girl, I hear, is a classic. I have never read it. Beauty is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I love me a good retelling. The Forgotten Girl just looks super eerie with her like all blacked out eyes. And then, do you know what it feels like to be forgotten? I don't know. I'm just curious about that one. The Westing Game, again, with the game element. I believe this one is somewhat of a classic, and I've never read it yet. This is book 6 in the Cooper Kids Adventure series. I'm only at book 5, but I unfortunately don't own book 5, so this one is just kind of a placeholder to remind me that I need to read book 5. Horton Halfpot, or The Fiendish Mystery of Smugwick Manor, or The Loosening of Milady Luggertuck's Corset. I mean, I bought it because of the title. Like, that's hilarious. So, there's that. This one, my mom actually purchased for the CF book sale that I have going, and I bought it from the CF book sale because I really want to read it. So yeah, this is just basically a cover buy, or cover. I'm interested in it because of the cover. And then Birdwing. This is a retelling of whatever that swan's fairy tale is about. Anyway, it's about 6 brothers were turned into swans, and I'm so curious. And then I have my bookmarks. I've got a variety of bookmarks. These are 2 homemade bookmarks that my beautiful sister made me for my birthday. It's a Dreamkeeper Saga bookmark. I just have a few bookmarks in here that are easy to grab when I am over here. And then 3 more classic kind of books. Dolphin Island by Arthur C. Clarke. Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. And then Deep Wizardry. And like, I mean, look at that shark. I love it. And they're in the ocean, and I'm so wanting to read this. You have no idea. So these are the books that I have on my TBR shelf. So this is my TBR bookshelf. I love it. I love how it looks right now, how it's displayed, and I'm really excited to have these all at my fingertips so I can get to some of them. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of them and if you would recommend or have some caution or trigger warnings for any of them. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate when you guys subscribe and like and comment. That means so much to me. And I hope you have a very lovely day. Bye!